سنبدأ الآن بالجلسة الأولى، وبداية اسمحوا لي أن نرحب برئيس الجلسة الدكتورة مسنات الحياري، مديرة مشروع الاشتمال التأميني وتمويل المخاطر برنامج الأمم المتحدة الإنمائي UNDP، والتي ستكون بعنوان دور شركات التأمين في معالجة تغير المناخ، الفرص والتحديات. تفضلي دكتورة. ونرحب أيضا بالمتحدث الرئيسي في هذه الجلسة السيد بلحسن تونات، المدير التنفيذي لفرع الممتلكات والحوادث في منطقة الشرق الأوسط وشمال إفريقيا، شركة ميونخ ري دبي. تفضل.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the important discussion on the role of insurance companies in addressing the growing challenges and opportunities presented by climate change. As climate-related disasters escalate globally, the insurance sector holds a crucial position in mitigating these risks. Today's session will explore how insurance companies can offer vital risk management solutions and incentivize sustainable practices for climate adaptation. We have a distinguished actuarial and management risk insurance industry expert joining us, and we look forward to an insightful discussion followed by Q&A session at the end. It's my pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker today. He holds an MBA in insurance company management, a degree in actuarial sciences and risk management, and a master's in business administration. Professionally, he brings extensive international experience in the insurance and insurance sectors. He currently serves as Deputy CEO of Munich Re in Beijing, where he oversees property and casualty operations across mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Prior to this, he holds various senior managerial roles in Seoul and Munich. From 2017 to 2021, he was regional P&C manager for Munich Re in Johannesburg, South Africa. Please join me to welcome Mr. Belhassen Tonat to this session. A few minutes and he will join us. So we will start with the challenges. What are the biggest obstacles insurance face regarding climate change? Specifically, does the insurance sector face significant challenges in addressing climate change, primarily driven by the increasingly frequency and severity of climate-related disasters, such as drought and heavy rainfall in different regions, which lead to a rise in claims for property damage, agricultural losses, and business interruptions. In this, compounded by the lack of occurrence of accurate climate risk data and modeling, hindering the ability to effectively assess the price policies due to the inherent uncertainties introduced by climate change. Also, we are going to evolve regulatory framework also needed to better support climate insurance and risk transfer mechanism. Waiting for our speaker. So given the serious concern regarding climate change, we will see today what opportunities exist for insurance to transform these challenges into advantage. Specifically, can insurance develop innovative insurance products such as parametric insurance for extreme weather events and agriculture, to providing automatic payout during events like rainfall deficit? Furthermore, can partnerships with government and international organizations strengthen climate risk financing, enabling insurance to share the financial burden of climate disaster and enhance premium affordability? Also, we will explore if we can incentivize sustainable practices through mechanisms like a premium discount for businesses investing in solar energy or eco-friendly infrastructure, driven the adoption of greener practices, and can insurers leverage investment in green bonds and sustainable projects to contribute to a more sustainable future? Considering the potential of technology, we will see what science-specific role can innovative like AI and big data analytics, particularly in refining risk assessment through satellite data and machine learning. Play in improving the accuracy of climate risk management for insurance. Furthermore, how might emerging technologies such as blockchain contribute to more transparent, efficient, and effective climate insurance through streamlined claims processing and fraud reduction? The path forward for enhancing the insurance sector's role in climate resilience involves a multi-approach. This includes insurance undertaking comprehensive education initiatives to inform businesses and individuals about the critical importance and benefits of climate insurance coverage. Simultaneously, policymakers are encouraged to implement regulations that effectively integrate climate risk assessment into insurance models and actively promote green investment strategies. Complementing these efforts, insurance should develop and offer flexible and affordable climate insurance options, particularly tailored to the needs of small businesses and farmers, who are often the most vulnerable to climate-related impacts. معلش السبيكر كان موجود بس يمكن صار عنده شغلة طارئة هلأ بيكون تواجد معنا حتى يناقش معنا دور التأمين في إنه كيف نواجه التغيرات المناخية، خاصة في ظل التغيرات المناخية اللي عم بتصير وبيشهدها العالم كله من مثلا ارتفاع في درجات الحرارة غير مسبوق، فيضانات، الهزات الأرضية، الزلازل. كل هاي التغيرات المناخية بتأثر على قطاع التأمين، فرح نشوف اليوم كيف رح يكون دور هذا القطاع في إنه يواجه هاي التحديات المناخية الغير متوقعة، كيف ممكن يواجهها من خلال منتجات تأمينية مبتكرة، وكيف ممكن إن نعمل تقليل المخاطر. كمان كشركات تأمين دورهم مهم كبير في التقليل من المخاطر، وبالتالي بيقللوا من الكليمز وبيقللوا من الخسائر اللي ممكن تتعرض لها شركات التأمين. فمن التحديات اللي بتواجه شركات التأمين لما بتعاملوا مع التغيرات المناخية هي مثلا زيادة في حجم المطالبات التأمينية، وهذا بيكون عبء كبير على شركات التأمين. كمان في شيء مهم كتير هو نقص البيانات. إذا ما كانت البيانات متوفرة لدى شركات التأمين بيكون من الصعوبة إنها تتوقع كيف بده يكون حجم الخسائر وكيف ممكن يكون التعويضات المبنية على هاي الخسائر اللي راح يواجهوها المؤمنين. أيضاً بنواجه مشكلة بضعف الوعي، سواء كانت بأهمية التأمين نفسه أو بأهمية التأمين بربطه مع التأمين المناخي. وهذا طبعاً إحنا في الأردن أو حتى في المنطقة يمكن مش موجود، يعني حتى الأجري إنشورنس يمكن بفلسطين بلشوا كدول عربية مجاورة إلنا كتأمين زراعي، يمكن في لبنان يكون في عنا التأمين الزراعي من خلال التأمين الأصغر. فإحنا اليوم بنحاول إن ندرس شو الفرص المتاحة لقطاع التأمين في المنطقة في ظل هاي التحديات، كيف إنه ممكن نطور منتجات تأمينية مبتكرة، وكيف ممكن إن نستخدم ال AI والتكنولوجي في إنه نطور منتجات تأمينية مبتكرة جديدة وتكون affordable للناس اللي هم most vulnerable بالقطاعات المختلفة، وخاصة ال SMEs وقطاع الزراعة والwomen headed families. خلينا نرحب مرة تانية بالسبيكر معنا مستر بلحسن تونات، ومثل ما حكيت لكم هو عنده extensive international experience في الانشورنس والريانشورنس sectors. وممكن you can start your presentation for the sake of time. Welcome Mr. بلحسن.
شكرا. مرحبا.
أهلا.
صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
Sorry for the delay. So always the good news actually, if you see an empty presentation, it means the night yesterday was great. and people could not could not join that early. So it's always be positive on something there. So first of all, really good morning to everybody, and thanks to the Jordan Insurance Federations for hosting the event in Aqaba. It's really a great place to be, and I was talking to Dr. Masnat this morning. I told her, on purpose, I will not go to the touristic sites because something will be missing in my visit. So I plan to come back with my family in the near future. So there is always something to be back here. It's a great place. Number two is also very big thank you to the GAIF colleagues, the General Arab Insurance Federations, for hosting such events. It's an exchange between our Arab countries and the insurance industry. So the presentation today will really take just 10 minutes to highlight a few numbers only. And then with Dr. Masnat, we will have kind of a Q&A, and we would really welcome you if you can join us in any questions, anything you can think about, climate related or insurance, reinsurance related. Happy to try to answer as much as I can. So when we think about climate change, let's see something people think, is it really real? Maybe we don't feel it. We don't feel it today. Why do we talk about it? What's the impact? What's there? What could be changed to our lives as insurers and reinsurers? But I just want to share with you a few slides where you see here, it's a warning slide actually. So you see this compares the average temperature of the year compared to the 100 average between the pre-industrial time. So we take the temperatures from 1850 to 1950, take the average, this is 0 line, and then you see that in the last years, every year is a record year when it comes to average temperature of that year. If you remember the Paris Agreement 2015-2016, we wanted to limit the global warming to pre-industrial times, compared to pre-industrial times, to 1.5 degrees. In the year 2024, the 1.5 is already reached. And the Paris Agreement wanted to be, this is the target until 2050 and 2100. So we are already in a very scare status as climate change is concerned. The left side is the previous slide. I don't want to comment on that. The second one is, and there I want to say something actually. So when you look to the average, it's not a big change. Do you really feel that the temperature was 1.2 or 1.3 higher this year than last year? Doesn't matter, frankly speaking. Of 1 year, it doesn't matter. The problem is here on these extremes. So you see this? There's no pointer. So if you look to the middle graph, so what I call always the average movement is not noticeable, but the tail movement is dramatic. And dramatic means really we have an exponential curve when it comes to the climate change impact on the industry. And the third effect of climate change is, of course, the higher natural catastrophe risks which we are facing. I just want to see how much are we talking about in terms of money. The natural catastrophes cost the world last year $320 billion in terms of economic loss. Out of it, 140 are insured. So this is the ratio. You look at it, 1/3 is insured. Unfortunately, it's a little bit biased. If you look down, in North America and Europe are the highest insurance penetrations. If we look to our part of the world, Asia and the rest of the world, with the Arab world, we are there. It's 1% to 5%. So it's very, very little. I just want to share the statistics here. You see the biggest impact we had in terms of natural catastrophe in the Arab world only here is the Hurricane Gonu 2007 in Oman. But of course what is missing here is the Dubai flood last year. It costs roughly 10 billion in economic loss and 3.3 billion in insured loss. Just, I want to pause 1 minute here because 3.3 billion insured loss, the overall property insurance in Dubai is roughly 5 billion. So 65% one event. So you can talk about the profitability of the companies on that year, completely gone. This is an event which is very illustrative to the situation actually. This happened in Libya, 2023. What I want to say here, this event, there is a science today to see what is the climate change impact on that. And we have studied this event. The likelihood of this event happening nowadays is, and I want to say the number loud, 50 times higher than pre-industrial time. So until the year 1950, 1960, such an event would happen, let's say, once every 200 years in Libya. Now it happens actually 1 in 10 years. The problem in Libya was really a little bit illustrative also of the exposure and the quality of the building. I think if you remember it, the dam actually was destroyed, and this is the lack of maintenance and the lack of treatment of the infrastructure in the country. You know where Libya has been in the last 10 to 15 years in martial laws. There is a lot of investment going, little of investment going into infrastructure and keeping up with these buildings. So we will flip through the presentations, because with Dr. Masnat we will have kind of a Q&A. We will use the one or the other slide to see what can happen there. So this is actually a new science. If your kids or wants to study something, there is a new thing in the climatology, which is the science of climate attribution. So how much of a certain catastrophe is attributed to a certain event of a climate change. So, and these are few ideas to see that events like what happened in Europe and Spain like last year, it's 1.2 to 9 times higher going forward. The insurers among us will think, when we do underwriting, we do prospective underwriting. So what does this mean in terms of premium and what is insured and what is not insured? Same thing here. Here I would like to highlight 3 things. I don't know who does reinsurance. Many technical people here. The corner there, it says that these events, when they happen, they tend to be a bit longer nowadays. And just excuse me for being a bit technical for 1 minute. Usually in the reinsurance treaty, we say we cover flood for the 72 hours. And these clauses has been defined in the 70s and 60s. Nowadays, the flood, they don't last for 72 hours only. The floods in Dubai, they lasted for 8 days, so 200 hours. So this creates a problem also in terms of the wordings and how are we insured and reinsured going forward. Yes, so I will maybe stop here and explore the rest of the presentations as we go with the Q&A session. And as I said, any questions, please go ahead. I will try to answer. So usually some insurers, they know that I am from a reinsurance company. They ask me about the reinsurance prices for the next renewal. Is it soft market? Is it hard market? So I'm not asking these questions, but if you want, we can talk about it. Dr. Masnat, back to you.
Thank you. So as you have mentioned, climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather conditions. Disaster cost the global economy estimated 500 billion annually and forced 26 million people into poverty every year. So scientific studies show that even a small increase in average global temperature can lead to a significant rise in the probability of extreme weather events. How can policymakers and businesses better prepare for the risk of change associated with climate variability?
Thank you. I think Dr. Masnat, she wants to do another PhD now. Okay, 3 things. Number 1, the extreme event probabilities. So that's what you mentioned. So a small temperature leads to a huge effect. That's what I tried to explain in the middle graph here. If my memory is correct, a 1 degree increase of the average temperature increases the severity of natural catastrophes by 7%. So this is the science of attribution. And then you think, okay, what is about 2? Is it now 14%? Unfortunately not, because it gets to be exponential. So the 1% we are talking about, this is the shift of this curve of the middle, which frankly speaking, you and we don't feel it. I don't feel if the year is 1% hotter than the previous year. Nobody feels it. But the Mother Nature feels it, and the moistures of the oceans gets higher, which leads to more severe and more frequent extreme events. So we are by far now above the 1%. We are heading to the 2% roughly, and frankly speaking, there is no data to justify how much is it, but we would know it's more than 7%. So we have been able to look at the 1% because we have since 1990, every year, you see there is nothing blue there. So there is no year which is average temperature is below the pre-industrial average. No, doesn't exist. It was every year higher, and that's where we had a lot of studies to come up with a 7%. Our biggest fear is the tail. Here. This tail, we don't know. We know that the 7 will not be 14. The 7 will be 50, 60. We see in Libya event, it was 50 times higher. So a huge, huge impact. This is part number 1 of your question. If my memory is correct, number 2 is the 27 million poverty, which is induced by climate change. And I think here there is a role to play. We are insurers and reinsurers, usually commercial companies for profit. We are not non-profit organizations, but I think we should not also hide away from our societal rights of existence. We are here to help civilizations and societies to build resilience and to try what I personally really why I love doing insurance, because it takes the bigger burden from you the day you know it by paying small premium. So we want to distribute the law of large numbers. So with a small contribution, and the takaful, you would even call it contribution, not a premium, that the day of the loss there is a burden which is taken. But also we should not forget that not everyone is able to pay this contribution and this premium to get coverages, and this is really the role of the private sector, insurers, reinsurers, governments, and also multilaterals and multinational organizations to put their hands together to come up with solutions. And there are solutions. Solutions do exist, and there is a way how to put it in place. I would just illustrate maybe one example, how we can elevate poverty after natural catastrophe from an event. And here I would like really to highlight maybe a good experience of an Arab country, Morocco. They have put in place an earthquake pool 5 years ago. And some of us would remember what happened in September 2023. A big earthquake shuttled the city of Marrakesh in Morocco. How does this pool work? Every motor policy or household policy, they pay very little amount to be covered against earthquake. And when I say little, is really something like 3 to 5 Jordanian dinars, for example, so the equivalent of that. And then the government comes in and say, okay, not everybody has a car, but the people who don't have a car, they also suffer from earthquake. So they create another, they call it a fund to help people who are not insured, who don't have a car, to pay an additional premium for earthquake. And this fund was put in place by the United Nations, by the World Bank, and it was supported by the commercial companies. And Munich Re, we supporting this fund, and we do insure it and reinsure it. And this fund paid $265 million day 2 after the earthquake. So the government received $265 million to spend in 2 things. Number 1 is the humanitarian impact, the alleviations of the earthquake. And number 2 is helping the peoples who are not insured and they lost their houses and their belongings in this event. Example number 2, next door in Oman, they introduced a very similar also natural catastrophe covers for the car insurance, and it's always linked somehow to compulsory business. So when you have a TPL policy in Oman, you will pay, I think now, 4 Omani Riyal, so maybe 10 JD, to get a cover for your car for natural catastrophes. So there are a lot of initiatives starting nowadays in order to elevate this poverty level and try to create the balance.
Yeah.
Part number 3 of your questions I forgot.
No.
So if you remember me, what
Very
was it?
informative. Thank you so much. So given the serious concern regarding the climate change, what opportunities exist for insurance to transform these challenges into advantages? Specifically, can insurance develop innovative insurance products such as parametric insurance for extreme weather events and agriculture to provide automatic payout? And digitalization is also important. And how can also using the sustainable practices as incentives? If we use sustainable practice through mechanism like premium discount for businesses investing in solar energy or eco-friendly infrastructure, drive the adoption of greener practices. Also, we want green insurance. Okay, so.
Thank you, Dr.
Over to you.
Masnat.
Yeah.
So I will tell you a story about this morning. So Dr. Masnat, we are in the same hotel and we met for the first time today at 9 a.m. And then she told me, I have a few questions. And I told her, have you seen my presentation? She said, no, I haven't seen it. She says, actually, she could do the presentation in my place because she is really talking about the same topics, green, sustainability, what you can do, and premium incentivizations. So this is the slides of her question, actually. So what are the opportunities there? So always when we have climate change, we have 2 problems. So problem number 1 is we need data, data, and data. In order to I think I illustrated it good enough in the early stage to say, in order to see what is the impact of climate change on the frequency and severity of natural catastrophe, we needed the data, and we had the data, so we have been able to do it. And as you would know, insurers and reinsurers, we love data. We are very mathematically driven industry, and we love to have analysis and numbers, because at the end of the day, this is what helps us to calculate the right premium, and we want to get it right. So we need the data. This is the opportunity number 1, where government, authorities, and insurers can share data. So we have, as a company, a lot of data, which, for example, we share with government or with infrastructure companies in municipalities and things like that to invest in mitigation measures. So this is the point number 1, which you see on the right side here. So how do we limit global warming is one thing. But number 2 is global warming is here. Hopefully we can manage it to be at a lower level, but it's here to stay. So, and how do we adapt and live with it? So this is how do we build the resilience around this. And if you see here what we can do, what insurance company can help with when it comes to agriculture, for example, the drought is increasing. There will be a lot of innovation and investment in, I would call it drought resilient methodologies of seeding. So there is a new technology in the agricultural business, for example. If we know that in Jordan we will get 20% less precipitations in the next 50 years, then we need to adapt and to find plants which uses at least 20 to 30% less water in order to survive. And this is pushing the innovations and pushing the industry and the, I would call it even universities and research in that regard. And this is where insurance can come in and say, this is our predictions with the data, this is the target, and let's do and try to find ways together. This is just one example. In infrastructure, with the data we have and the satellite data, for example, we know which areas are subject to losses when it comes to higher precipitation. By sharing this data with municipalities and governments, we can build measures to adapt or to make the areas more resilient by changing the building codes, for example, and say we would have an elevation of 1 meter when you build in this area. This is small changes with the government, but will be helpful in 1 year time. So if you try to dig deeper and have a lower level in an area which is flooded every 5 years, then the building's value is actually nothing. It's close to zero. And this is what we are trying to do, for example, with banks, because banks, they do support the bankability of these buildings. It's very simple. Before you take a credit from a bank, the bank will have an analysis is what's the value of the building in 50 years, for example. And if we use our data and tell them this area will be heavily flooded every 5 years and 50 years, it means the value of this building in 50 years is actually much, much less than what it is today. So they enforce certain building changes to the infrastructure, to the setup, to the design, to make it future resilient. And just mentioning one example, if we know this area will be flooded, you need to elevate your design by 1 meter. That's what you do and you implement. This is example number 2 of collaborations. The third way, I always refer to it what is actually the mitigation part here. And mitigation, this is, and you tell me what is insurance doing here? Why? This is more technology things. But I will try to make the link why technology doesn't work without insurance. And I will give you a few examples. In order to combat the climate change, what is our goal altogether? To keep the Paris Agreement, global warming below 1.5. So what we do, we have seen there is a change in the last 50, 70 years. It's coming. So the only thing we do is we have a climate diet, like food diet. We abandon everything which can cause GHG for greenhouse gas emissions, another term, CO2 emissions. How do we reduce CO2 emissions? We don't drive cars, so no cars, no airplanes, no food, anything which is related to CO2 emissions, you just don't do it anymore. Feasibility, 0. I think unfeasible. And this is where we think it's good to have pragmatic people to say, there are things which are there to stay and maybe we can do it better, but we cannot just don't do it anymore. And do it better meaning do it more sustainable, more green, more actually climate friendly. Yeah, that's exactly, Dr. Masnat, what you were mentioning. What is the role? I will take just one thing, or two maybe. Green power generations, green power generations. 3 areas: wind turbines. Number 2, hydrogen, which is a new technology. And number 3, solar panels. For solar panels, I will make just a quick excursion here. This is what Munich Re we have done. Solar panels, 1 square meter in 2009, it was roughly $2,000. Today, 1 square meter of solar panels costs roughly $50. And you can buy it in the supermarket generator, actually. So from 15 years, it's from $2,000 to $50 only. And how has this been doable? It's technological advancement, and these companies, they needed actually to innovate. For innovation, they needed a lot of money. For a lot of money to be raised by the investors, they told them, we don't believe in your idea. So when the solar panel producer went to the investor and told them, I'm gonna invent a new solar panels which is better than the previous ones, they said, I don't believe you. Why should I give you money? And this is where the role of insurance comes in. And in 2009, we at Munich Re, we developed a product, which is a 2000 solar energy there. And we said to the banks, we believe in this technology. We will guarantee to you that the solar panel they will produce for the next 15 years, they will have at least an 80% productions of the promised gigawatt or electricity production. So it was a bold move actually from insurers, which is called a product, an insurance product, which is called performance guarantee. So we guaranteed the performance of an solar panel producer, say we believe on him, 15 years, very good performance. And from this point, they have been able to have a lot of investments. And now where we are today, We at Munich Re, we have financed roughly 90 projects, sorry, and in the green field in total, it's 1,400 projects worldwide. And this is just solar panels at one example. Now, the biggest questions we have today is about the CCS, the carbon storage system, CSS, carbon storage system. And it's, in another word, it's very simple. Actually, we said we want to reduce CO2, right? But there's a lot of CO2 in the air. So in order maybe to have green energy is one thing, but the CO2 emissions which are in the air, how can we capture them and store them in a certain place safe so that we reduce the emissions in the air?
That's great.
So it's a new project, new technology which is coming. It's, you would say, I am an insurer, so I have nothing to do actually with these technologies. But the fact that we insure this, we get into this technology and we need to understand it and we need to believe in it, that it's making a big difference in our lives. Sorry for the long answer, but we are very passionate about this.
That's a great point, actually. Considering the potential of technology, what specific role can innovations like AI, big data analytics, particularly in refining risk assessment through satellite data and machine learning, play improving the accuracy of climate risk management for insurers? Furthermore, how might emerging technologies such as blockchain contribute to more transparent, efficient, effective climate insurance through streamlined claims processing and fraud reduction?
Okay, good. Where to start? Accuracy, I think, is key here. And our job, when I joined insurance, they told me something. They told me that, yes, you will fix the price of a product today, but you don't know the costs which are tomorrow. So which said, yeah, it's okay. But this is actually the difficulty of insurance companies, because we don't know the costs of the products we are selling when we are setting the prices. Unlike a car manufacturer, he knows this car costs me $30,000. If I sell it with 29, I am making a loss. If I sell it with 30 plus, I am making a win. If today we price a household for 200 GD per year, we don't know if it's going to be profitable or not. So that's the difficulty of insurance. So for this, technology, artificial intelligence, and we call it cloud computing, so the extreme power of calculation is key in predicting the future. And that's just, I want to give you an example here, where we used AI in order to predict the impact of climate change on certain areas. You see here the map of Europe, North Africa, and a little bit the southern East Mediterranean, to see what would be the impact of a 1.5 plus change in temperature on the quality of the portfolio in this area. So we have a portfolio, we have a lot of, imagine, factories and houses in these regions, and we go to our portfolio and we say, if the temperature increases by X%, you will see that our portfolio today is 50% only in the dangerous area. Here it would be more than 39% in a the red zones actually, where you can expect higher exposure. Are we able to do this yet for 10 years? No. Today, with the power X of the cloud computing, with the artificial intelligence and more the Gen AI, the generative artificial intelligence models and the large language models we train, we can be able to predict with a very good accuracy what would be the impact on the portfolio going forward. So this is just one of the examples what we can do in terms of technology and how it is used in order to predict there. Technology is not only used to predict the prices, it's also used to enhance our efficiencies in the way how we do business, in the way also how we pay claims and also predict frauds, as you said. So we want to pay believe us, there is no insurer who doesn't want to pay claim. But all the insurers, they don't want to pay claim where it's not a justified claim. And there are people who may be trying to using this and that. Just to give you a number, in Germany, 7% of the premium in the motor industry goes to fraudulent claims. This is in Germany. So I don't know the number in our region, but I don't think it's going to be much less than that. So it's maybe same, a little bit higher. Anyhow, let's assume 5 to 10%. So this is a 10% on the bigger premium pot, which can be used if we take it out and use it in preventions or building better infrastructure. I think this is the better use, and this is where money should be directed to. Part in the different experiences, and you know, I have been living in Korea for a while before, and for example, when you pay your household premium of 100, the insurers is obliged to use 10 to 15% for this, for actually they call it prevention measures with the local society and the local municipalities. So it's kind of an additional tax which goes to infrastructure involvement, which is, by the way, a reduction of the claims in the future. So this is just, at the end, China has just copied this now in the last 5-year plan of the Chinese government.
That's great. Thank you so much. I would like to open the floor for questions from the audience if they would like to ask any question, and then we can continue with Mr. Belhassen. في حدا بيحب يسأل سؤال ولا نكمل معنا 10 دقائق دكتور مش هيك؟ الوقت المتاح لنا لسه 10 دقائق. طيب
10 دقائق شكرا.
That's great. في حدا بيحب يعمل مداخلة أو سؤال؟ وإذا دكتور مؤيد بتقدر تحكي لنا على الفرود البرسنتج في ألمانيا يمكن 5%. 5 ل 7%. إذا عندك إحصائية عن الأردن قديش الفرود؟ ما في إحصائية بالأردن. خليه يجيب لك المايك دكتور بعد إذنك.
صباح الخير مرة ثانية. طبعا شكرا يعني بصراحة أرقام ممتازة، محاضرة قيمة جدا جدا، فاتت الناس مش مجاملة، فاتت الناس اللي ما قدروا يعني يحضروا هاي المحاضرة، لكن يعني أكيد يعني ممكن نستفيد منها لننشرها الاتحاد وعلى موقع الاتحاد حتى الكل يأخذ إذا كان ما عندك مانع أخي. صحيح ما عندي إحصائيات يعني حاليا، لكن يعني أنا بعتقد حتى بكل الدول العربية ما في إحصائيات دقيقة عن هذا الموضوع، يعني ما في شيء أعتقد هيك، يعني أنا ما عندي معلومة، بس بعرفش إذا بتصحح لي هاي المعلومة.
الإحصائيات موجودة في ألمانيا، في أمريكا موجودة كمان ب4-5%، بس في منطقتنا العربية ما فيش إحصائية صحيحة ولا دقيقة صارت هون. في بعض المحاولات من consulting services to try to find a number، لكن ما فيش رقم صحيح. بس يعني نحن نعرف كل يعني how you deal with these claims، and نعتقد شيء ما بين 5 وال 10%، بس ما تفرق كثير تكون 9 ولا 8 ولا 7 موجودة فقط.
بس كان عندهم فكرة بالاتحاد إنه يعملوا شيرينج للداتا بين الشركات التأمين، بحيث ممكن يصير عندهم أسهل يتعاملوا مع الفرود ويقللوا منه قدر الإمكان. فإن شاء الله الفكرة هاي دكتور
نعم، يعني اليوم بصراحة البنك المركزي أيضا صدر تعليمات لأهمية وجود بيانات.
الصوت
عفوا هيك تمام. مؤخرا صدر عن البنك المركزي أنظمة وتعليمات أنا بعتقد مهمة
صحيح، رح تساعد. نعم.
هاي الأنظمة والتعليمات راح تساعد بإنشاء قاعدة بيانات مهمة لمتخذ القرار. اليوم موضوع الفرود بالسوق الأردني كأي سوق تأميني في العالم، في هناك ممارسات إن كانت يعني أكثر أعتقد اليوم في موضوع المركبات. أنا باعتقادي اليوم الأوضاع الاقتصادية بتساهم بزيادة الفرود. أيضا إذا كان هناك يعني الأنظمة والتعليمات تسمح للناس اللي يعني بدها تتجاوز القانون، تسمح لهم إذا يعني هناك فجوات معينة. لكن أعتقد اليوم الوسائل التكنولوجية قد تساهم في التقليل من الفرود، لأنه كل ما قل التدخل البشري كلما يعني هو والإنسان المشكلة يعني. فالأتمتة بتساعد اليوم على قلة التدخل البشري، وبالتالي يعني تقليل العمليات اليدوية واللي ممكن يكون فيها عمليات ورقية، واللي هي بتسهل موضوع الفرود. بدي أرجع على قاعدة البيانات. قاعدة البيانات كمان موضوع ال AI قد يساهم لآن الوصول إلى وين المشكلة، لأنه يعني خلينا نحكي مثلا إذا كان هناك نحكي موضوع نحكي مثلا موضوع شراء الكروكات اللي جزء الكل صار يعرفها بالسوق الأردني. إذا كان هناك إحصائيات وكان هناك أسماء معينة وتركز معين، موضوع ال AI قد يذهب بك إلى الحل أكثر من أيضا أكثر من إنه يقول لك وين المشكلة، لأنه كنا عارفين وين المشكلة. لما يكون في تركز عند بعض الأسماء المعينة، لما يكون في تركز عند بعض الجهات المعينة، قطاع الغيار إلى آخره، قد يعطي مؤشر لصاحب القرار وين المشكلة. أعتقد زي ما تفضلتي دكتورة اليوم، قاعدة البيانات اللي البنك المركزي ألزم اليوم قطاع التأمين إنه يشتغل عليها، أعتقد هذا يعني قرار إصلاحي بامتياز، وإن شاء الله يعني كمان لما يكون عندنا المعلومة يكون القرار الصحيح ويكون في اليوم الحلول العلمية المناسبة. شكرا.
شكرا دكتور مؤيد، مداخلة مهمة جدا. في حدا بيحب يضيف إشي؟ أستاذ سمير، بناخذ 3 أسئلة وبعدين تكونكلود. تفضل.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. صباح الخير على حضراتكم. أنا سمير محمود. بشكر حضراتكم على يعني هذه المحاضرة القيمة والمعلومية الكبيرة في نفس الوقت. وريفيرينج باك يعني والدكتور مؤيد have already said، الحكاية في موضوع البيانات موضوع غاية في الأهمية حقيقة، ويمكن أنا شوية بكون في حاجة لتلك البيانات في الموضوع الذي يتعلق بالإنكلوسيف انشورنس، كذلك في المايكرو انشورنس. nowadays الاثنين بقوا بالنسبة لنا to close the insurance gap كانوا في غاية من الأهمية، وابتدينا نطلب هذه البيانات مثلا في مصر، فلم نستطع الحصول عليها بالشكل المدقق الحقيقي الذي يستطيع أن يصل بنا إلى معدل نقدر نسمي مثلا سكيل عالي، فين نقدر نوصل للناس، الارياز اللي نقدر نركز عليها. في حاجات كتيرة جدا ما كانش قادرين نوصل لها، حتى لما تم اللجوء إلى ما يسمى بالارتفيشال انتليجنس at that time، وجدنا إنه محتاجين أن ندعم القنوات بتاعت ال AI نفسها بهيوج نمبر اوف داتا، ميجا داتا، وامكانيات غير طبيعيه حتى يستطيع ان يؤتي لنا بثمار الحل. فكل اللي انا بحاول انه يعني ارجع بيه للكلام الخاص بالدكتور مؤيد، انه حقيقه الامر انه ما طلبه البنك المركزي فعلا من بيانات توفرها شركات التامين من الاندستري دي غايه مهمه. كذلك طلب منا في مصر، واعتقد انه اصبح ترند عالمي أن تتوفر البيانات للحكومات حتى تستطيع أن توجه جزء كبير من نشاطها إلى إيجاد الحلول عن طريق تلك البيانات المدققة حقيقة، وتستطيع أن تؤتي لنا بثمار الحل.
شكرا
لحضرتكم. شكرا
صحيح
جزيلا.
البيانات مهمة لصناع القرار حتى يتخذوا القرارات، وهي بتحتاج ل بيج داتا حتى نقدر إن نعمل بريدكشن. في كان مداخلة، تفضل، معانا دقيقة لكل مداخلة لو سمحتوا.
Shortly, fraud is a crime punished by criminal law in Jordan and in other Arab countries. What I want to say, I don't want to repeat what Dr. Muayyad said. There is a high percentage of fraud in our society, not because the people they are not good or not have a good faith, but because the social circumstances, the economic circumstances, which they are put the people suffering from many problems. So they are going to commit this kind of a crime, especially in the motor insurance. Motor insurance, or most of the claim, 1 year ago, there's a suspicion that the crime is happened in this claim, or and we can combat this by collecting data about who submit the claim in the insurance company. Thank you.
شكرا.
شكرا دكتور محمود. just تعقيب صغير على حضرتك. اكيد السوشيال circumstances don't help, but خلينا نشوف المشكله زاده في احنا كشركات تامين وشركات اعاده تامين، لانه الريبيوتيشن تاع شركه التامين ولا شركه السوق التاميني بصفه عامه مش كما الناس الكل تتمناه وكما نجم يكون، يعني يقدر يكون احسن من هيك. لهيك السبب يعني يمكن فما ناس تفكر انه I am paying premium for 20 years, I need to get something back. يعني لما نفكر نخليه ونغيروا العقليه وتكون احسن better client service and better reputation of the insurance company، انا نعتقد انه الفرود جزء كبير منها باش يختفي automatically. في مداخله اخيره وبعدين نخلص. اوكي
خلاص اخر سؤال تفضل.
In handling agricultural insurance, how do you expect and see the future of agricultural insurance in the area, the reinsurance terms and conditions, and at the same time stop the fraud in this field? At the same time, you see that there is lack of premium in this field. This is first. And the second, what's the role of insurance companies and the marketing managers in expanding in new sectors to insurance and reinsurance? Thank you.
شكرا. شكرا. And maybe 2 or 3 minutes quickly. Allow me to do it in English, it's much quicker. I think the agricultural insurance is really one of the fields where is about to be disrupted by climate change, and this is where we see the biggest impact. When it comes to drought is one thing, we have less water in general, but when we get water, we get it to the extreme. So we get really flash floods and flooded. So, and you know, for any trees or seeds, too little water is bad, too much water is even worse. So the balance is really going into extremes. The experiences we have in agriculture, and I believe worldwide, it works well when it is hand in hand between private sector and the government. So where we see the government is really coming to help, usually the agricultural sector, the agricultural peoples, they need more inclusive insurance, they need more marketing, they need more understanding, and usually it's the life cycle is very different. So usually we say احنا كنا نعرفوا كيف الامور صعبه عند الفلاحين، في بدايه السنه ما فيش مصاري، وفي اخر السنه لما تجي الصعبه وقتها ينجم يدفع المصاري. يعني we have to cope with all these challenges in a way or the other. The best examples actually which worked well is the corporations, and we at Munich Re, we work, for example, the Turkish agricultural pool, we have the Morocco pool, we have the Chinese pool, the Indian pool, and reinsurance, yes. So this is where we can come in and add. Maybe your question was about the fraud in agriculture. This is where Dr. Masnat also mentioned the technology and how it helps. Nowadays, I would say fraud in agriculture is reduced by at least 60, 70, 80% because there is the usage of new satellite data. Sitting here, we can actually know if the crop in a certain area is growing as expected or not by taking, we have 8 hours pictures of the crop, which we analyze in an artificial intelligence model to see if it's growing as per expectations or not. And this is nowadays with the satellite being really cheap data which we get. So in India, for example, we do that. So we do 8 hours every day. Every 8 hours we take a picture of all the fields which are insured, and they go into a database, and it will be followed actually about the moisture level in the which the color of the green plants will tell you. And we can expect here we are going into a loss positions, or here everything is okay. So, and this is what really reduces the fraud by very, very large amount.
Also by using satellite images.
Yes, satellite images are nowadays, frankly speaking, very cheap.
Insurance as well.
Very cheap. It's, you get data for a few cents.
Yeah, thank you so
It's
much.
not really important.
في حدا كان بده يضيف إشي Okay. So that's strong conclusion. Thank you all for sharing your insights. It's clear that while climate change poses serious challenges, insurance companies have a critical role to play in building more resilient sectors. Let's hope we see more action soon. This has been a rich discussion, and I'd like to thank Mr. Belhassen for his valuable insights and very informative presentation. To summarize, we have explored both the opportunities and challenges in leveraging insurance for climate risk mitigation. The role of insurance in tackling climate change is a necessity, not just a policy discussion. Insurance is not just about compensation or protecting against risk. It's a powerful tool for risk reduction and resilient building, enabling us to build a resilient future. I hope today's discussion sparks further action and collaboration in these crucial areas. Looking ahead, strengthening collaboration between insurance, government, and businesses is key to mitigating climate risk. What policy change or incentives could help enhance the role of insurance climate resilience? Let's take today's insight and turn them into real action. Thank you all for all your time and participation. Thank you.
نشكر رئيس الجلسة والمتحدث على هذه الجلسة والنقاشات النوعية المثمرة. أدعوكم البقاء على المسرح، وأدعو عطوفة الدكتور مؤيد الكلوب المدير التنفيذي للاتحاد الأردني لشركات التأمين لتكريم المتحدث المشارك في الجلسة السيد بلحسن تونات تقديرا لجهوده. أيضاً تكريم رئيسة الجلسة الدكتورة مسنات الحياري تقديراً لجهودها في إدارة هذه الجلسة. مبروك. صورة تذكارية.